What is up, world? BakermanBrad here, and today we're taking a look at Orcs Must Die Unchained. Now, we've covered it before, but they've made some changes, revamped a few things, and made these guys really hard to kill sometimes. And so now, you don't always win. But in defeat, we must learn to accept what it was that we did that could have made us better. And perhaps, by doing so, you ruined my moment, Orc. So the most notable change is that they actually have taken out several of the characters that were in Orcs Must Die Unchained. There was a couple of them. The Sir Always Win, or Sir Winston, was removed, as it seems, and there is no evidence of him anywhere. There's nothing in traps, there's nothing in skins, there's nothing potentially in any artwork or anything. So I don't know if they're coming, if he'll be back, but I'm kind of hoping that he won't, because as I joked about his name, he was absolutely broken. I wasn't the only one complaining about it. That was kind of the overall encompassing idea on that guy. It was just brutal anytime there was a guy out there who was playing as Sir Winston. So with that said, they have removed a couple other characters with intent of bringing them back based on what I've seen. But they have added Zoe, the chaotic apprentice, who is kind of boss, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. They still have some of your favorites like Black Maw, Hogarth, and a couple others out there. And so your basic components of the game are still the same. They have your siege mode, which is you have two lanes that are defending, and you have 1 or 2 lanes that are attacking, and you have to play with your team and figure out what it is that you're wanting to do in terms of your team players. So you can go and attack, you can defend, and it all is kind of what it's been. You have characters who are better at either or, and some that are better at anything, kind of like Zoe. She can kind of do anything, especially if you have a good set of traps, or if you have good abilities in terms of which minions you're bringing to the table. So that's still the same in terms of a card system. Whenever you have a deck to bring into the playing field, that will be a huge factor on what you will be doing in terms of attacking or defending. And also who you'll be bringing, because there's some characters that will utilize other components. Say Smolder has a napalm injector that just kind of shoots out this basically napalm spray and boosts fire damage. Well, there's a couple of other traps that have fire traps. So you can do a lot of different things with a lot of different pieces, just like before. That hasn't changed much. Same with Black Maw's running ability. Thank goodness for that, FYI. Now, on top of some of the character changes that they've made in terms of taking away and adding some characters, they've also added objectives and other maps in the siege mode. Some of the bosses you have to summon really like their stakes well done. Others really like to have shrines captured. Either way, you had to figure out what objectives are now added to the map, and there's 3 different map styles that I've seen, I believe, and each of those have different objectives, different little pieces that you have to do. There are also several different maps in the Survivor mode, which is what you saw at the very beginning, which is just a PvE version, and it's just defending your portal from several waves, usually about 5, maybe 7. Now, there is still some thoughts on character balance, because in 1v1s, there are some characters that really kind of just wreck shop. Now, I don't know if it's because I was just a badass right there, or that Smolder just wrecked space, but I don't know. And being that I missed that fire line, I kind of want to lean towards Smolder doing most of the work on that. Yeah, I called myself out on it, don't worry. I know whenever I made mistakes. But anyways, the same concept is to destroy and get your minions into the enemy rift, and then win. Pretty much it. Anyways, one thing to mention is that when you're not actually in-game, the launch screen and any of the options and settings are actually in a windowed screen on your screen. So I've zoomed in a little bit and cleaned it up so that you don't have to worry about looking at any of my icons on my desktop, but keep in mind that it does switch back and forth whenever you've started a game and when you're in this to work in the workshop, the deck editor, or anything like that. Now, once you get through all of your stats and you go to the workshop, gathering all of the items you have, you can tell which characters are there, which ones are available. And this one, like I said, is Zoe, which you can purchase. So if you do get the unlocks for like any kind of like a pack or bundle, there's still a couple that you have to buy, Stink Eye and Zoe. Now, for keystones, that actually gives you access to certain things down the road, and there are also chests that you can unlock with gold. And you get that through, you can either purchase it, or occasionally, I believe you can win it. But these chests, majestic sounds and all. Yeah, you like that? Sounds dramatic. Anyways, once you get these chests open, they will unlock certain cards and or materials that you can get in the game that allow you to either build more things or have a better customized deck to bring into Siege or Survival. Now, there are separate cards for Survival and for Siege that are separate, like the potions or some of the Guardians. You can actually place those in just the Survival deck, whereas your minions and your bosses are only placed in the Siege card deck. Now, traps are universal, and also runes and certain other little items that you can place in that deck for buffs. Some of them can be in both decks, the Survival or the Siege. Now, all of these chests are available, and like I said, it's just gold. Each one has a separate level of awesomeness that you can get, and that's pretty much the new things in terms of items. Like, you can build them, you can create different cards if you got the correct amount of materials, some of them being some weird things like donkey fat. Yeah, I don't really know why they chose donkey fat, being that there's not even a donkey in this game, like none of the minions. You'd think it'd be like ogre teeth or soldier's hair. I don't know. Anyways, that's part of it. They've added it, and it's in there. Now, I want to show you this Phoebe's Wrath, which is what I was talking about as kind of what makes Zoe boss. Now, as for a basic attack, it's a little bit weird. There's a change of magic schools that she goes through. So some of her basic attacks are fire, some are ice, some are light, and it rotates randomly. There's no real given key or code or anything that you can hit and activate that sets a specific one. It is a randomized switch. So that's kind of the only weird oddity. There is a couple of her abilities that, and once you've actually leveled up, more of those change it. But this is Phoebe's Wrath. Basically a combination of Hades' ultimate and Ymir's ultimate if it was always exploding. So yeah, you can drop in on some people, take out the Krogan, the Black Maw, almost kill Hogarth, and steal the stake. Yeah, that's what you can do with Phoebe's Wrath. It is quite awesome. And as you level up, which is one of the things that they've changed, you can get certain additions and upgrade different little... Oh, Hogarth, you wanna dance? Anyways, I got a steak to cook. But as you upgrade those in the game, you will actually get different little additions to those abilities, just like every other character, which is another component that is a little bit different. Instead of leveling up each level, you get a different little tier. It's about every 3 levels. So 3, 6, 9, and 12. You get to choose one of these upgrades. So, along with that, we'll cover these characters more in detail later on. We'll get a little bit of a view of everybody that they've got, what they've changed, what they've kept the same, and we'll get a little bit of an idea of other PvP or PvE maps. We'll have a little bit more detail on that. But one of the cool things that I actually want to mention is the training for this is actually quite entertaining. A lot of times, you get into training and you get bored. But this guy, survival tutorial, that's right. I'm digging it. They actually have just enough comic relief to get you through the basics of a tutorial. So with that said, they've got
guardians.
It's still your basic. You're going to be sitting there kind of going, come on, let's do this, hurry. I already know, especially if you've played the game before.
Let's get started.
But it is a useful component because they will show you in a sarcastic, yeah, we know this, we're making fun of it kind of a way, that this is what you got to do, just in case there are new people to the game, or someone who has never played this before, or if you're 10. Any of those, really. But they still have a good little character and personality to them. And also, they're pretty good at throwing some shade, which we'll talk about that here in a second after we see this little fun fact. A lot of times, they just tell you how to build things and they leave it at that. Well, what if you put it in the wrong place?
Huh. On second thought, that spot's terrible. My bad. Look at the
Exactly.
top and press the display button to
They
sell
show
it.
you how to
Great
get rid
work.
of it. Now,
Now,
this isn't the
place
only
the trap
game
on
that
the
does
floor
that.
over here.
There are plenty of others out there that explain how to sell things, but this one makes a clear point of
Nice.
doing that. And
Go ahead and
then,
put a wall
after it
trap
tells you the
here.
basics of, oh, you can put traps on the floor, you can put traps on the wall, and then you can put traps on the ceiling, it goes
goes
ahead
the
and just
ceiling
fills it
trap
up
up
saying,
here.
hey, you know, I'm bored too, we know, we're not going to make you do this, let's just
taking
have some fun.
Let me help you
And
out.
it looks pretty neat,
Here's some barricades.
especially when
Oh,
it gets all said and done.
and a few of
Kinda
these
like
bad
this.
boys, and what the heck? It's like decorating a living room of death with murder sprinkles. Switch back.
Now, you remember that shade I was talking about?
I'm
Yeah,
Ivy.
Ivy definitely knows how to throw some of that. So there's two different tutorials, one for Siege and one for Survival, which is the same thing. But anyways, right there, a little bit of it. And they actually also can talk bad about the Guardians too, which a lot of times whenever you hear tutorials they're like, oh, the Guardian, I can't believe it, he was so powerful. No, Ivy doesn't do that. So just for some comic relief, let's kill this Guardian.
Well, brave Guardian. You may have failed to stop us, but actually I don't feel bad for you. You were bad at your job and now you're dead. That seems right.
Exactly. See? My thoughts? Exactly. So, with that said, that's pretty much everything that has been changed in a notable manner. There are some other small little balance issues and components that they have had, and we will mention that in more detail in separate videos. But for now, I'm going to let you get back to gaming, and who knows? Maybe you'll try Orcs Must Die Unchained again. I would.